We were both doing the same thing. What's up, everybody? It's Thursday. I thought it was Friday.
It's Thursday, and we are your motion show hosts.
Welcome back to the, which way does it go? Daily Motion Show. Oh, what's up, chat? What up, Tutu? How you doing? Oscar says second. Atharva, what's up? How you guys doing? We got all sorts of fun stuff to look through. We had so many good questions and stuff yesterday, and I'm hoping to keep that going. If you had questions from yesterday, please feel free to ask them, and we will get to them. But one of the ones that I thought was interesting yesterday was just about how we used to price things. And boy, did I scrounge up some gems for you guys from our Google Drive.
We're talking about a share.
We were
show and tell this Thursday morning.
We were some freaks. Let me tell you what. All right, here we go. Let me get a little bit of context for this first thing. All right. I'm not screen sharing it yet, but I realized that for whatever reason, I was tracking my freelancer expenses and income on a spreadsheet whenever I don't know, it was like 2017, 2018. So I was a sophomore in high school-ish. Somewhere around there, all right?
Little baby.
And boy, did I have some goals, okay? You guys are curious about how much we were charging back then, and we being me, it wasn't much. Here we go. So, I categorized all the sales that I had made from 2017 until early 2019, I guess, which is when I made this spreadsheet. So I made this sheet, like, right towards the end of my senior year.
Can I compliment you on the color choices?
Can we also compliment me on
Fantastic.
calling my budget spreadsheet the main shebang? Does it get much better than that? I don't think so.
I actually very much like that.
Now, I think what's extra funny about the color choices is I put the best budgets, like the ones that were over $200, as this highlighter yellow for some reason, and in between 200 and 100 gets green. You would think the green would have been the best, but whatever. It doesn't matter, okay? So, you can see, I blacked out anybody's names and emails that I had in here or whatever, but basically what I was doing around this time was selling, anytime it says social media here, it's just like profile picture and banner, primarily that people were using on Twitter. And then there's a couple other things. This thing labeled football, I do specifically remember what that was. I had some high school athlete who was getting drafted for a college team. He reached out to me and needed some like player card thing. I can find it somewhere, but he just paid me $10 and it was whatever. Random person on Twitter.
For $10, that's crazy.
It's a good priced football. Anyway, and then anything on here that says stream is typically a set of alerts and overlays and whatever for live stream graphics. And then logo is just a logo. So as you can see here in 2017, I sold a logo for $20. But then I sold one for, I mean, I was selling social media stuff for anywhere from $25 to $40. So for whatever reason here, I decided to sell a logo for $200 instead. Don't know why, really couldn't tell you. But like the biggest budget on here is almost $400, okay? I would probably take, especially if a logo was involved, it would take me like a week to get these things done. So $400 for a whole week is not a whole lot of money here. But I was in high school. It was whatever. You know, we made it work. Ooh, custom playing cards. I remember this thing too. Somebody was trying to make like a Hearthstone type game. And anyway, couple different things there. But let's just take a look at some of these other numbers, shall we? And then we'll take a look at this graph over here. So the total amount of money that I made as a high school freelancer between mid 2017 and early 2019, so almost a 2-year span, was $3,810. And that was across 36 sales. So I guess that means that the average one was a little over $100. Actually, not as bad as I thought it would be, to be honest. I thought it was going to be like $50 or something. Not too bad. Now, for whatever reason, my goal that I wanted to get to in sales was $20,000, which I definitely did not get
So close.
Maybe I got to it that year because I set this on this sheet and then basically didn't do anything else with the sheet after I made it. But I bet with I ended up interning at this marketing agency, and then I did like 1 or 2 projects on the side from that. So maybe I ended up getting here, but if I'm being totally honest with myself, I probably got closer to like 15,000 even with that job. I don't know. Something like that. I wasn't working a ton of hours. Anyway. Oh, wait, what? Okay,
I'm excited to see this little graph on the right.
I wanted to make this exact amount of money in all of 2019, apparently. I don't know when this goal was supposed to be accomplished by. I don't know when I needed to have $20,000 or what it was going to be for. But anyway, let's move on to this graph, shall we?
Yeah, graph.
If this doesn't give you a good like microcosm of an example of what it's like to be a freelancer or run your own studio, I don't know what will. Sorry. So you'll see all these, like if I were to plot a graph just on these guys, that's not bad. You know, it goes all the way up to the right. Very nice to look at that. But do you see all these dots down here? Each of those is a month where I made absolutely zero money, you know? If I were not in college, having my expenses already paid for and whatever, that would be pretty problematic if I had rent and other things to actually take care of as an adult person, you know? I do now. No way I'd be able to live off of this now. But best month was almost $1,000 in sales, and I'm pretty sure all of that was from... Actually, wait, I guess I can find out. Yeah, just these 6 sales at the beginning of the year. So I was upping my prices over time. Instead of charging like $25, $40 for things, most things were ending up being at the like higher 100 to a little over $200. And that's all right. But I mean, you know, high school kid, sophomore to senior, not bad. Not too terrible. Looking back at it now, I mean, a lot of my friends were working fast food at minimum wage. I still feel like they were probably making a lot more than I was if they were working consistently like 20 hours a week or something. But who knows?
Yeah, probably. But you were having more fun.
But I was having a good time and working with all sorts of like small content creators and streamers and that sort of thing. Anyway, just wanted to show that. That was like, I mean, the biggest budget I ever ended up selling whenever I was around this age was like basically the last 2 freelance projects I ever did. One was for $1,200. It's the Scout video that's on our website still. And then I sold another one for $3,250 maybe. And that was one of the dropship calendar videos. That was the best I did as a freelancer. So, you know, I worked my way up eventually. But
remember you telling me about those when you did them?
Yep. Not a terrible place to start. And those were the only 2 freelance projects I took while I was in college. And up until we did review stuff. Like my whole freshman year, I was putting all that stuff to the side to do my classwork. Ooh. Whatever.
I wish I did more freelance.
Yep.
At the time, even.
Yeah.
I remember you talking about that.
I think I ended up selling a logo at one point for like $500, but
oh yes,
that was the only other thing. I made like so many different versions of that thing, and they ended up just choosing the one that looked like the Gatorade G, basically. Anyway. Okay, there's all that. This is how younger Austin did things. I had very, very static pricing on these different these different offerings that I would change over time. So if anybody came to me, no matter who they were, for social media, I was like $25 to $40. That was it, you know? And then if they came to me for a logo, I was like $200. And you can see at the end here, motion design / advertisement, $210. I was charging that every single time that I got an inquiry for that. Don't know why. I guess I just thought it was easier that way.
10, baby.
Now, let's go on to what I decided to do when we started Revi, which was at the time The Collective, and how
we had no name for it.
How we did pricing there. Well, first, actually, no, sorry. This was the last version of me freelancing. Just kidding. pretty similar thing. Like this is essentially what I would give to a client. I would send them a spreadsheet and be like, here it is.
Oh,
here's
yeah,
here's your budget.
that.
You can either do
screenshots and be like, this is it.
You can either do this small option. You can do this video for 2160. That can't possibly be right. What? Oh, I see. So you can either do this first video for 10 seconds and the second video for 45, or for 15 and 60 and whatever. And then I gave them the two prices based on that. And then I calculated out all the hours and shit that you'll see in a second that we also did for Review. But I was charging $35 an hour. I absolutely should have been charging a day rate. I was totally screwing myself by doing this hourly because it took me multiple days, but I only had like a certain amount of hours I could put into it each day. So just wasn't a good plan. Now, onto this hellscape that is the Review spreadsheet. Okay.
Gives me PTSD.
I know. So,
but I kind of miss it, you know? It was a good time.
I kind of do too. It really made everything like easy, and a lot of clients actually did like this stuff, like being able to itemize like to the 10th of an hour every single one of these things. So basically what I did, I had created so many videos for people at this point that I was able to sort of think about how many hours it took me and then come up with mathematical formulas as to how I would have gotten to that amount of hours at each stage of the process. I'm sure this is so entertaining for everybody right now. We're looking at spreadsheets. Yay! But anyway, essentially, it made it way easier for us to charge because we had no idea what to charge at the time. We were like, I don't know, $93 an hour as a studio. Let's do that. And then, okay, do they want motion? Great. How long is the motion? Let's say like 45 seconds. And then you can see these numbers changing down here, you know? So if it was a 60-second video, allegedly storyboarding would only take 3 hours. I don't know what we were on with that because that's just not true. That's just simply not the case. Especially now, when you spread that out across the team, like when we're all in a storyboarding call, that can be like 15 hours, even if we're only doing it for like 3 each, you know? Production was gonna be 45, and we have time for an internal critique, which we never did. At this point, internal revisions, which we also never did.
I remember believing so much over exactly how long each of these would be. You're like, well, how long do you think blah 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 would be? How long would this be? And you're like, well, I know how long it would take me, and I'm like, well, I don't.
So I mean, you can see this here. It's whatever this is times or divided by 40 for whatever reason. I don't know why, but that's just what the math comes out to. And so basically we had this like Frankenstein spreadsheet that we would be able to put any number into for the amount of seconds or whatever. And then if it was a branding project, we'd go over here and we'd say, yeah, they want like 4 options for their logo, and it would do the same thing. And then it changes the pricing over here.
Wait, hold on. Can you scroll up? I want to know. If you're doing a branding project, how long did I spend on the branding?
It should have a total.
Initial draft
72 hours for a full branding project with 3 logo options. So if you were to work full time on that, it would be a little over a week. Almost a week. It's like a week and a half, basically.
Interesting.
So I don't know if you're sprinting and multiple people are on it. I guess. But who knows? Who knows, really? It was all kind of BS, but I just want to know, back then, if we were to do a full branding pass, we're giving 5 logo options, we're doing a 90-second brand film, we're giving them, like, I don't know, 5 little static graphics that they can do. Sure, we'll do some brand strategy / development. I'd say the company is brand new. They have 5 methods of outreach? What the hell is this for? And yeah, we got to do pre-production and strategy.
Of course we do.
Okay, so that would all cost $30,000. That's horrendous. Are you kidding me?
Oh my god.
A big time agency. This is like a multi-million-dollar project. Money. Come on now. Come on. That 90-second video is only $10,000? What the hell?
How long would we spend on it?
Let's see. Where's the total hours at?
Wait, it calculated taxes.
329 hours.
Okay.
$12,000 in taxes out of that. That's actually pretty accurate.
That's so much money.
That's pretty close.
Boo taxes. Can we get a boo taxes in the
Yeah,
chat?
boo
Thanks.
taxes in the chat. Anyway,
Boo
people were
taxes.
asking about pricing and things and like what that used to look like for us. Now we have a little list of like some reference prices that we use based on the length of the animation, and it's more of just like a what does this feel like it should cost based on the resources that we have. We're not sitting there and calculating hourly or day rate or whatever. We already talked about this yesterday. We're doing project flat rates to avoid all this stupid mess. But anyway, just to show, Ravi was a tiny little baby for a hot minute. And I was a tiny little baby for a hot minute.
I was there. I can attest.
And
we were tiny little babies.
What's wild to me is that first sheet where I had made like 3,000 over those 2 years or something is only 4 years old.
Oh my god.
That's so crazy.
We learned so much in the past like 2 years.
This is 2 years ago. This is from 2 years ago.
I'm a different motherfucking person. That's crazy.
Right. But
that's legitimately crazy.
Anyway, on to questions from the chat.
Yay for Project Flat Rate.
Hopefully somebody found that at all useful. And if not, then suck it up. You got to look at some math. What fun.
It's Shoham asks, good morning, Noah and Austin. That's not a question. Wanted to ask if you guys went to motion design school or some courses, or did you just learn on our own? Learned on our own.
Learned on our own.
Austin showed me After Effects, and I said, cool.
I showed
and ran with it.
I showed myself After Effects. And
that's right.
Just practiced a bunch, and that was really it.
Went to the School of Hard Knocks.
Oh, God. Anyway, there you go. Atharva says, my wait is over waiting for this episode for so long. Well, I hope that was useful. But, yeah, there's your little money chat.
It was such a good time.
What a fun time. I mean, just to like cap that off, like if we were to plot on a chart that growth, so let's say Austin at just the entirety of my freelance career from 2017 to 2019 on that sheet, plus the couple projects that I did on top of that, like, I don't know, 10,000 total, if that. And then you get 2020, Ravi made a whopping $4,340. Actually, sorry, that's not true. We made like 6,000 something in 2020. Okay.
That's so insane.
And then 2021, we did 109,000. And then in 2022, we just sold 500,000. And this year, we've already received 200. So boom. That's the chart.
What the fuck?
Whee!
Winter Shot says, thanks for reminding me why I don't do freelance, lol.
Yeah, no problem.
You're so very welcome.
But you, like those dips in that graph where you see like, sure, it's some really good months and whatever, but those ones where it's all the way down at zero, that's why a lot of freelancers are charging that like $1,000 to $1,200 day rate, because they just want to be able to account for those months where there's not going to be any work, you know? Which is what's scary for us. I mean, we had that for Ravi too. Starting in 2021, we only had $2,000 in the bank account. It was a mess. We had to figure all our shit out. You know? It's a whole thing.
We did.
And we did. We figured it out now. And we're good,
did.
and we have a team, and everything is happy, joy, fun times for the most part. Yeah. Any users.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. Thank
And
you.
Hamza.
Wow. Wow.
Well,
how far we've come.
On that note, oh, there we go. Nick M says the year of the $1 million V. That is absolutely the goal this year. We are trying to do well over $1 million, and we'll see what happens. But everybody will know along the way what's going on. Tutu says, what were your references in terms of freelance budgeting? I really took for good everything Chris Do would say. I thought Chris Do was too much of a guru back then, so I didn't trust him on any pricing stuff, because I was like, nobody that I know is willing to pay these rates. And it was, one, just because I was a kid in high school with pretty mediocre work, and two, I just didn't have the balls to charge that much. So really, it was just whatever was the going market rate. I was on Twitter all the time using TweetDeck back then, so you could see... You could plug in essentially a bunch of different search terms and it would auto-populate. You know, if you post on Twitter, like, I need a graphic designer, and you get a bunch of people automatically replying to you. I was one of those guys. But I was actually typing it out. I wasn't just like using a bot or whatever. But people would put their rates sometimes in there, and you talk to other designers that are around your level, and if they're charging $40 or something, then like by all means, why am I not charging $40? Nobody was really charging a whole lot more than that publicly, so it was just whoever else was in the community, you know. Now I've been listening to a lot of the Future podcast actually very recently, and I just realized that I was a tiny little baby and didn't understand his advice yet. So that's why I thought that he was full of jargon, because I just didn't understand it. It's Shoham says, how much would you recommend to charge for a motion design video of 2 to 3 minutes and 10 to 20? I don't know what the 10 to 20 means, but
maybe it's like 2 to... No, I don't know.
I really have no idea.
That depends on so many things.
Entirely depends on your expenses, how much you want to make, and your skill level, how much people close to your skill level are charging, and those sorts of things. I mean, we would probably charge, I don't know, I don't have it pulled up, but I can take a little look-see. Just a second.
2 to 3 minutes?
Yeah. We might do anywhere between like 50 and 125 at this point. But we're also a studio of 7 people, and you know, like we have more expenses.
2 to 3 minutes and 10 to 20. He says 10 to 20 minutes.
Wait, what? Oh,
like 2 videos?
Oh, no, I think just like as 2 references. Like a 2 to 3 minute video was that. So, okay, if a 2 to 3 is like 50 to 125,000, then we're looking at like 10 to 20 is a really hard thing to budget for, because at a certain point you'd be like, after minute 5, does it get easier? I don't know. Like, but I don't know if I
know that it doesn't necessarily, but that much work is like,
that's a lot.
Oh my God.
That's a lot to go through, and the timeline would probably be insane. I would say you're looking at like over $500,000 minimum for a video of that length. That's nuts. Probably. If you want it to actually be interesting all the way through. If you want it to just be a PowerPoint or something, then I don't know. But we don't want to do that anyway, so I don't know what we charge for that. Vinicius says,
review on Shark Tank when?
Never, because I don't want to give away a huge chunk of my business. They call it Shark Tank for a reason. They absolutely get all of the benefit, while the entrepreneurs kind of get screwed. They certainly get benefit in the short term, but long term, I do not want to be beholden to somebody owning 30% of my business. That sounds terrible. No thanks. Ooh. Yep. Especially because I can already see how that episode would go. They'd be like, I want to be the third partner, 33.3%. I'd be like, goodbye. Thank you for the TV time. See ya.
TV time. I wonder how much they actually like talk to the sharks and get mentorship from that, or if the sharks just have people.
I think they just have connections. And
they're like, all right, go manage this one for me. And they just go and invest in more stuff because they've been doing it for so long.
They probably get to like have contact with them, but the actual work is probably not being done by the sharks.
Oh no work being done by the sharks. I just wonder how much is actually mentored by the sharks, or if it's just the sharks people.
Yeah.
I can see it like totally just being like, okay, great, I got this new company, but I'm too busy to go and try and mentor these.
Well, because they're invested in a billion things, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I gotta go manage my other stuff.
They have entire companies for their investments, you know? Nerdy Motion says, thanks guys for your time and daily streaming. Much appreciated from Pakistan. Welcome.
We appreciate you pulling up.
Yeah, thanks for watching us talk about spreadsheets and silliness. Hamza says, what are your opinions on hourly rates versus daily rates? Day rates are much better for the freelancer because you don't actually have to work all of those 8 hours. And even if you do work all those 8 hours, you can spread them out how you want, you know, more easily. There's just more flexibility there. You're not necessarily beholden to, unless somebody has you track time or something and then divides that by 8 hours in a day or something, but I don't know. Hourly rates, both of them screw you over depending on how fast you are. the faster you get at your job, you kind of end up losing that time and therefore make less money.
But hourly rates hurt you faster in that
Yep.
sense. Like you'll feel the effects there sooner.
Agreed.
Let's say like you got faster, it takes you like 3 less hours, but that's still the same amount of days.
Right.
Because there aren't 3 hours in a day. So you'll feel the effects of that sooner.
Like if
Also,
you do 1 extra hour on the next day, then technically that's still a whole other day. So you
can
should still
charge
get that
for
day
that.
rate, you know?
Although some people won't. Also, day rates are easier to deal with from a who's hiring you perspective.
Yep.
It's a lot less ugh,
It's
hours, man.
yeah,
When
it's
you
just
just on a
less
spreadsheet of like,
cumbersome.
here are the hours that I worked, and here's the invoice. It's
and
just
then
like,
you have
ugh.
to track all that and whatever, whereas otherwise you can just be like, yeah, I touched this project today and that other day and this other day. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like,
It's
I
just a little
worked
bit
these
easier.
days. Yeah.
Though, to be honest, both of those are why we don't really work with freelancers all that much, because we would so much rather just have people on the team and that we know how fast they work and those sorts of things rather than just kind of having to hope it works out, you know? Anyway. Nick M says, review pitching the review subscription to Mark Cuban would be pretty cool. That would be something.
That would be
That would be something.
quite an experience.
Tutu says, well, I'm from an almost third world country, so yeah, I wasn't going for those numbers, but the attitude and why things should cost that much perspective, I guess, still talking about Christo. I mean, I think it makes sense. All that if you boil a lot of what he says down, it's really just confidence and also educating the client on what you're actually doing for them in order to get them to understand why they should be paying the price that they should pay. That's
Yeah.
all. You know.
Linderman says, ever thought of doing an animated short film?
Yeah, we just don't really have a whole lot of time.
Sounds fun, though.
Yeah, but we would.
Any thoughts on Upwork, Austin?
Oh boy, do I. Upwork and Fiverr, man, are the bane of a lot of freelancers' existence. There would be so much more opportunity and money out there in the industry if there weren't millions of people charging $5 for anything on Fiverr or I almost said Spotify or Upwork. They're okay. They're all right. And from things outside of design, like, I mean, lots of people hire virtual assistants from Upwork and that sort of thing. It can be super useful. I think it was started with good intentions, but now both of those places are kind of just the places you go if you charge really low rates. It just doesn't have a great reputation. Not my
I remember
fave.
you showing me Upwork in college. Did you ever get any projects on there? I didn't.
I did. I got one project with this like furniture company. Well, actually, sorry, I got 2 projects. One with a furniture company where basically they just gave me a bunch of photos and I had to rotoscope them. I mean, just like pen tools, sit there in Photoshop and remove the background and whatever, and then put it on a white background. And then there was another one that was like making a flyer for this electrician or something. You know, it's like it's just small time stuff. There's nobody's given super big projects on there. It kind of feels like working with family a little bit, you know, like you're a kid
Yeah.
and then they give you like I don't know, I'll give you like $20 if you go do this. It's like that sort of thing, you know?
Great. Thanks so much.
Yeah. It's just also then Upwork takes a percentage of your pay and whatever. It just doesn't make any sense. Like people are already charging such low rates on there and then they still don't even get all of that. It's crazy. Yeah.
Nick M says $5 logo animation with sound design, baby. I was rolling in the money back then. Hell yeah.
That's the way to do it. Now, Samuel says, unrelated, how do you deal with sounds? Do you animate according to the sound or do you get the sound after the animation? We always find sound first. Whether it's doing a scratch VO to just get general timing down or whatever, sound first. And then if we want to, we'll work with a sound designer afterwards to get like a more polished soundtrack for the video. There's times where the only times we don't work with sound is when there will be no sound in the video at all. Like we're working on this thing for a conference right now where we have to make a couple animated logo loops to go up on the screens, and they're not going to be playing the same 15-second soundbite over and over and over again for an hour. So we're just not going to have sound on it. And in those times, we just rely on, like, we generally know how many keyframes to space things out from each other and just make sure that the motion feels right. Winter says, do you do day rate with contractors? We do hourly with everybody on the team at the moment. And that more so just makes it easier from a, I don't know, like,
perspective.
Yeah, because, you know, they still want to take on projects outside of Revi, then they can't technically be Revi employees, you know, or I mean they can, but it gets messy legal wise. So we just keep it hourly, so that way, you know, they still have a good amount of. None of them are technically full time.
Freelancers, we usually do
Day rates.
the day rates.
Yep.
I will also say, I did recently make a little short of animation, make a little quick animation. It'll probably come out late this week or early next week. Because I have to put sound on it. I animated it without sound because I had an idea of like the timing and what it will look like, but the tracks that I picked that kind of fit well just didn't end up fitting. So I was like, I'm just fuck it. I'm just gonna animate it without sound because I know what this should look like. And then I actually brought back the sound and it matched up anyway. And I was like, all right, that's great.
Yeah.
So sometimes you gotta just go with your gut.
I get that. I have to work on one today too. I have custom sound from the sound designer that I've worked with before, and I just keep pushing it off because it just getting in there and thinking about doing something like a loop again is a daunting task. Because I'm like, I don't want to just be sitting here for 6 hours. No, thank you.
It can be, yeah.
But I'll probably just block out some time to start work on it today, and then I'll finish up tomorrow maybe, but we'll see. Anyway, also just to add a little thing about like we pay contractors on the team hourly, and I know that can definitely make me sound hypocritical whenever I'm like, but hourly can screw you over because if you work faster, you make less money and whatever. But everybody on the team is like full to the brim with hours and things that they can do. You know, like anytime somebody works on a personal animation or anything like that, same time hourly is paid and whatever. So. Just in case anybody was thinking that, there's that caveat, I guess.
Deja vu.
Hamza says, how would you charge a project rate as a studio? Expenses aside, do you take in mind the content or style and sort of judge it on a per project basis? It is almost entirely based on the overall length of the motion that we'll be doing.
Taking the other factors too.
But generally, it's just like, okay, a 60, we've charged like this amount in the past and feel like we should probably charge this much now. That's really it. We've just sold so many projects at this point that it's kind of just like a gut feeling like we know what to charge for each of the sizes. And style doesn't even really matter that much because we know our limits. So we work within what we can, and the stuff that we're exploring, we know how to budget for that R&D time now. Winter says, if I did Upwork, I'd just recycle templates for that low pay. Not worth it though. I mean, true.
RBO says, what about lowering a price a little bit to have a deal with the client to start a collaboration? Yeah, you can negotiate and stuff.
However,
you could probably just give the first number to be a little bit higher than you want anyway. So when you lower it, it's actually the number you want.
But also, do know that it's probably going to be a lot harder to get somebody to pay a higher price the next time they want to work with you if you give them a discount off the bat. Lots of people will dangle the carrot of, we'll come back with more work in the future. Or never true. We'll do a bigger project. That only happens like 5% of the time, honestly. It's such a big lie, especially with younger creatives in the industry. People will totally take advantage of you. And it sucks, but people will get away with it all the time, so they just keep doing it.
It's kind of a red flag when people are like trying to negotiate and penny pinch on that kind of stuff, because that means they're probably going to have a similar attitude on the actual creative work itself.
Yep.
And that's not a very fun client right there. Who's being all over your shoulder and shit.
Agreed. It's just not a good sign usually. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend lowering the price, honestly. Like we've had some big brands approach us in the past, and we've thought about lowering it to be like, oh well, okay, but we get to work with this company, and like it would be so cool and whatever. But then if they come back for another project and they still have a low budget, then suddenly it's not nearly as cool as like no name client over here that you didn't even know but is willing to pay your prices, you know? That money feels like nothing in no time, regardless of if you charged what you thought you were going to charge or not. So if you discount it, it's only going to feel worse because you're already shorting yourself.
Due to having a good experience with Upwork. Got work from clients from around the world, and a few of them have actually come back outside of Upwork, but it's definitely not his only income, or her only income, or their only income.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it. They said I also don't feel like I'm competing with the very low budgets as my reeler portfolio is noticeably better. Well, then there you go, I guess.
Fair. If it's working for you, it's working for you.
Yep.
Winter says budgeting R&D time is a good subject. I agree.
We didn't do that for a very long time and have only started doing it recently, and it is well worth it. Yep.
You gotta do it. You gotta.
Can a good client with a cool project and cool references that will definitely be a good addition to your portfolio get a discount? I just think people shouldn't give discounts in general. Like, just charge what you're worth. That confidence will speak volumes more than whatever cool project you have on your portfolio in the long run. Also, because it's only going to be beneficial for how long? You should have better work within like a couple months after you've made that project anyway. So is it really worth it? You know, for us, we had some projects with larger companies that we didn't really enjoy the experience, or we like can't really show the work because it's not super easily packageable for social media. But we just put the logo on the website. We still charge them what like we originally said we were going to charge, you know? We just don't have to show the work necessarily. Anyway, getting paid and learning at the same time, where's the balance? Could you rephrase that? What do you mean?
That's a big topic, I think. That's kind of goes into just time management and stuff. But I mean, shoot, every project we learn stuff. So it's no either or, you know?
Yeah, we're learning all the time, but we're still charging whatever the hell we want, you know? And at this point, we're in a fortunate enough position to be arrogant to the point where if somebody comes to us and is trying to lowball us on something, we just tell them no. Like, it's just not worth our time because we know there will be more opportunities or that we can generate more opportunities. It's no big deal.
Damn right.
We had the similar conversation with someone yesterday who was asking for advice about an interview that they're going to be having soon. And truly, a lot of it is just like showing that you're there, but that you're not, your whole career and life is not riding on this experience going well. Because if you show that, the client, regardless of how nice they are as a person, is going to want to try and get this to work toward their benefit the most. So if they see that you're kind of like faltering on your price, you're like, maybe I could do this, maybe I could do that, and you're not being like firm in what you're saying, they know you're more pliable and more susceptible to them being like, oh, well, there'll be more work in the future, little baby designer. How about we do this one for like half price or something? And then you'll be like, oh, more work. That's great. I get to work with you. That's all I wanted. Oh my God, the money doesn't even matter anymore. And then you're 3 weeks into the project and you're like, shit. Oh, this is so annoying. I wish I got more money for this, you know? We've had that experience way too many times. Please don't do that. It's not worth it. Yeah. It's just not worth it. I promise. Just charge what you're worth and keep that train going. Shoham says, do you guys know how to work with Blender or Cinema 4D? And if you do, how long did it take you to learn? We have very, very minimal knowledge of 3D programs. I have more in Blender than Cinema, and I made a full project in it one time, and it's not something I would show in full for review stuff. Let's just say that much. It's not my favorite. I'm not super great at it. It does not match my prowess in After Effects at all.
The approach you took to that project was very much like doing 2D animation, but doing it in 3D, doing it with 3D shapes, which I think was pretty cool and interesting.
I mean, for my first go at it, I still look back on it and I think it was a pretty good video for my first try, but
I think so too. But I'm just realizing that now. He just like did 2D animation in 3D.
Yep.
That's kind of cool.
I didn't really do any camera movement or anything. I just don't like animating the camera. I'd rather animate all the other objects around the camera for some reason. It just is easier for me to understand that way. I think it's just because I like setting my composition so much. I'm like, no, I can't move the camera. That's going to fuck up my entire composition. Like, what the hell? You know? Like, I framed my shot, damn it.
Hey, Says, any pro tip for finding sound or music in your mind? Or are you just going over tracks and stocks and hoping to find something interesting? I'd
Definitely the
say
latter.
usually, like, maybe we have a vibe in mind, but, we're always open to being surprised that something could work that we weren't thinking of. So definitely just going over a bunch of stuff and seeing what works.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, get faster at it.
Think on the long run.
Nick,
Pricing low every time will only
yeah.
attract low paying clients. That's facts. The art of saying no is amazing. That is also facts. In Motion says there are people who have $5 to $10 per hour and get experience with the studio, not more. I'm gonna need a rephrasing on that one. Tutu says low budget clients have low budget friends. I hear you. That's very true. It's absolutely facts. Nick M says, yep, they'll recommend and remember you as the great cheap motion designer. Because that's what it'll be. People will be like, oh, where'd you get that video done? Oh, from this guy, and I only had to pay this much money. Like, that's the conversation. That's how it goes.
You don't want to be that person.
You do not want to be on the receiving end of that. Clinton says, learning to value yourself and work will discourage you from lowering your price. That's absolutely true as well. Mm-hmm. Tutu says, none of the clients that had more work for me in the future never announced it up front. Yep. I'm telling you, it's a red flag. If they try and tell you that, they are just trying to get you to go, that's so nice. They care about me. Let me, friends and family discount on them.
Yeah, it's very much like, all right, we'll talk about that when you have it.
Yeah. And Winter rephrased the question. When you started budgeting R&D, what is the ratio for you? 20% budget to R&D? What is the tipping point where you're choosing a different route because you have to learn too much? So it's not necessarily like we have each portion of the budget allocated towards these things. It's more so, okay, this timeline is across, it's this long or whatever. And so if we want to make sure that we've still got enough time to budget for this R&D section, in addition to the stuff we would normally do, including like making sure you've got time for revisions and whatever, it's just how much does the timeline need to flex in order for us to do that? And then it's like, oh, okay, if we're working for a month and a half as opposed to just a month, then like what does that cost instead? Because for us, it's not necessarily just like, oh, we got to figure out the time so we can charge for that time. It's just as we take on projects, we are not able to take on as many new projects. So we just need to make sure that we're supplementing for what like other projects could come in during that time. That's more what it is. It's just a cost of replacement, like it's making it harder for us to generate new business with other clients if we're working on this at the same time.
That's right.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's we're learning, and sometimes it's really just trying to iterate on the designs and stuff for the client, and not necessarily always like a bunch of learning.
Right. It's more so just getting enough time to throw everything at the wall and just see what is there, Mm-hmm. Christian says, I agree. Problem is when someone else offers you the same for half price, but still just remember to ignore that. Client wasn't worth it and you have the chance to go for another project. Yes, that's right. If somebody else is offering it for half price, let that be their problem. They're making half the amount of money that you could make if you just went and did that same project with someone else,
Sure.
We had too many experiences where we were freaked out, like, we're never going to get projects again. We have to take everything. And I know everybody gives this advice, but seriously, just like say no. Right? That reputation will get around of like the actual stuff that you want to be doing, especially if you're showing that on social media and talking about your thought process openly. Ryan Summers, when I was on that portfolio roundtable with Motion Hatch, said it pretty well. Big reason that Ravi does social media stuff, main reason is just because it's fun for us. But also, from a client standpoint, they don't normally get to just hear our thoughts, We are on a Zoom call with them talking about whatever specific thing for that project, and that's kind of it. We joke around and whatever, but like, if they see the vlog or they watch one of these streams or whatever, they know exactly what they're getting when they come to work with Ravi. They know how we think. They know what our qualms with the industry are. They know what we get excited about. They know all of that up front. We don't have to sell anybody on anything. People come to us and already make the decision that they either like us or don't. And that's it. Be loud. Be open about what you're thinking. That's going to be so much more standout than just kind of sitting by and being like, well, I guess I'll say no to this project, but I hope another one shows up. No. Like, make a presence. Make a stand. You don't have to like blow up on social media or anything, but just like give people resources to at least understand who you are a little bit better.
Stand.
One of the easy things that we gave as advice during some portfolio reviews recently was a lot of people have their profile pic or have a photo of themselves on their about page, and that's great, or their contact or whatever, because that at least like puts a face to the name. But what could be way better than that is just recording a 1 to 2 minute video of yourself, just like talking about who you are. Go through what would normally happen in that initial call with people so that you don't have to sit there and waste your time saying the same story over and over and over again. And people can make a better decision earlier on about whether they want to work with you or not. You'll stand out so much more than just them, whoever's the hiring manager at this place, looking through a billion different portfolios every single day and then just seeing the same shit. They'll be able to remember that video that you put out. And have some fun with it. Make it a motion project, you know? Like, show your craft. There's so many opportunities with that sort of stuff. Anyway, Christian then says, when all that happens, I hope you're still able to make ends meet, which is the reason I understand why you'd go for a discount. Yeah, it's understandable in those situations. Like, I mean, if you need the money, then you need the money and that's it. But if you're in a better position, I would try to stick to your rates and be true to that. Samuel says the sound used in your motion reel 2023 was so cool. Was that custom made? It was a song that I found a long time ago, but then I just like cut it up in Audition to make it work with the way we wanted to cut it up and like remove lyrics and all that stuff. But thank you.
That was such a good one. I remember. This is the
I knew that like
hell yeah.
6 months in advance. I wanted to use that one. I saved a note on my phone.
We were just waiting in anticipation for it to be time to make another reel, and it finally was.
Oh no! Somebody noticed finally.
Oh yeah, I was like putting my hand in that section of the screen a little earlier.
Yep. There it is. We've been outed. Damn it.
We ought to fix that.
Yeah, we will. Especially because we're gonna have guests on starting next week, Wednesday.
Oh my god! Get excited, guys.
I'm gonna just name drop for a second here, just so you guys know what you can be looking forward to on the show every week for the next like 2 months. All right. Mm-hmm. We have confirmed chats with Desmond Dew, otherwise known as No Sleep Creative, starting next week. He's gonna be our first guest. Week after that, Jorge from Ordinary Folk. Week after that, I'm trying to get that one scheduled, but the week after that one, Jake Bartlett from Jake in Motion, Mac from Dash, Jasper Hilgers from Oddfellows, E.C. Abrams, y'all know him as well, and then Gordo from the community, and a bunch of other people that we're chatting with and trying to get things coordinated. But like, guys, we are gonna have fun chats. Let me tell you what, we're not gonna give everybody a soapbox, just be like, here's what I do, and we're all happy, campy, go lucky, whatever. No, we're gonna have real conversations. You guys are gonna ask your normal hard-hitting questions, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good time. We're gonna get into the thick of it. The thick of it.
It's gonna be fantastic. Might even come up with some fun games to play. It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a darn good time.
It's gonna be really great. I already told people.
We're still gonna keep it in the hour time frame, which is so cool.
Yep. A couple will be later in the day because some people are like Pacific time, and we don't want them coming on the show at 6 a.m. necessarily their time. But it'll be really fun. We're very excited, and yeah, it'll be fun. Nick M says, "What does R&D mean? Research and development, basically just like testing phase." Yep. Choo says, "Jamie Brindle. Any chance I can write that name down and reach out? Why not?"
Jamie Brindle.
Jamie Brindle. All right, now on that note, let's try and do some crits and stuff in this last little bit.
This just zooms by, doesn't it?
I know, it does. When chat has questions, it just flies.
Thank you guys for all the great questions.
Now it's time for some crits, I tell ya.
Some critical crits.
First one we have from Hamza. Here it is. It is animated Google icons. Here is Google Chat. Fun concept. Easing is a little jank, personally. I feel like it could be smoother.
Awkward pauses.
Yep.
In the animation.
But I like the concept.
Those keyframes need to kind of intermingle with each other more.
You can just tell when things stop. It feels like it's like feels very robotic. Doesn't feel very smooth.
Mm-hmm.
It almost feels like, honestly, it could very well just be easy ease on some of these. I think that might be what it is. It feels like easy ease with keyframes spaced out very evenly, you know? But there's that one. All right, here's Google Classroom.
It's kind of fun.
That is fun. Again, I like the concepts on these. I just think the easing needs work generally.
Yeah.
Because
polish that
Google
up.
would be so smooth, you wouldn't be able to tell where the motion stops. Like it would all just kind of ease out real slowly to where you can't tell where the keyframes actually ended. Maps, I assume. Well, that one's pretty satisfying. That one's fun. Show it to me again. This one might be my favorite one out of the whole thing.
That one's cool. I like it. That one's cool. I like it.
It's got really cool
Still
perspective
easing
on
stuff.
it.
It kind of slow zoom in is a little strange.
Yeah.
It's not tied to the motion at all.
Okay, Google Fit.
Ooh.
This one's pretty good. Easing on this one feels much better.
I want you to also take care to animate the letters in the Google Fit a little better. In each one of them, they feel sort of disjointed. They feel a little bit like an afterthought. Especially this one has like a little bit of bend and stuff in the heart. It would be good to sort of match that perceived squishiness, I guess, in the letters. Give them a little bend or something fun like that. You okay, Austin? You dying over there?
Yeah, just a little bit. I muted myself this time so I wasn't screaming into my microphone. Yeah, I guess what would you do to take care more in the animation of these? I don't know what that means.
Perhaps I would animate each letter individually to give them a little bit of more interesting spacing as they come in, as opposed to you have it animated per word. Maybe I'd add a little bit of bend with some effect to give it a little bit of exaggeration in the motion. Something fun like that.
Cool. Ooh.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. That was good. That was
Great.
kind of what I thought. I just wanted to make sure that's actually what it was because we have the same brain, but I don't think anybody else was gonna understand what that meant.
That's cute.
Same feedback though. Basically, just easy needs a little assistance.
This is a pretty good motion practice, I think.
It is. This is fun. Also, y'all, we recorded such a fun video yesterday with Jackson. It's gonna be so good. We gave him like 15 minutes to animate the Google logo. Keep in mind, Jackson's our video editor. He's not a motion designer by trade. And we had to come up with the concept and things, but he was the only one that could animate or do any of that stuff. And so Noah and I were just kind of like shoutcasting his process as he was animating and stuff. And it was hectic. It was a really fun time. It'll be on the channel soon-ish. But it's going to be fun. Thank you, Hamza. Boom roasted. I hope that was helpful. And then I hope you're ready for Kyle Switzer. His migration video. We met him at CoMotion. Shouts out. How you doing?
Shouts out.
I am ready to boom roast the hell out of this. Let's go.
Let's get it. Text too thin. That's cute.
I can tell that egg is flat. I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be able to or not.
It's pretty cute, though, I must say. That little bird does not match the color palette.
Ooh, the blurring is very confusing here. It's just kind of inconsistent. I can't tell the actual depth of things sometimes.
This scene feels a little empty.
But it's got so many birds in it. How can it feel empty?
Because you just came from one with so much depth, and then you have one that's just essentially got one main thing in it. Shorebirds! That's hard to say.
Animate that type, though.
For real.
You didn't have anything else fading on with opacity, so this feels a little weird. And animate that background texture.
Animate.
It's just sitting there. This shot in particular, like you see what I'm saying? The blurring just feels very inconsistent. This thing right in front. I feel like if these are that far away, it should be more obvious. Like there should be some like distance fog or something to it, you know? But it feels
Yeah.
like this is all too visible. It's like the same level of blurring as this stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's really just one background plate.
And then when these textures kind of move along with the camera, it gets real confusing. Also, not to call you out, but this does just end here.
Called out.
Now, I like that I can tell that these are all flat, but I feel like the main object should actually have some of that like 3D depth to it. It doesn't even need to be 3D. Like you could just take this texture and animate it on top of this thing, you know, so it looks like it's like rolling around or something.
Yeah, you animated the shine, which is nice. I will say I really like that scene. That's
I do
probably my
too.
favorite scene.
It looks really
There's
pretty.
so much atmosphere in this. I adore this.
It's really fun.
This less. There's a lot less blurs happening. The colors weren't as consistent in this one. That little bird doesn't feel like he's part of the video, honestly.
Yeah.
Is that water or snow? It's kind of hard for me to tell.
I think water, but I guess water because flamingos.
I also like this scene.
I do too.
Great. And like, look how much depth we're having here.
Yeah, the blur here works, but it's because you've got different levels of blur, whereas on some of the other scenes, it's just like everything gets the same treatment, you know?
Yeah. And then this scene, like we had so much depth happening, and then we go to this scene, and there's just like it's just a bunch of little dots. But
You have
these...
some flying in front, but actually, I think they still go behind this thing, you know?
Yeah. You have this these like little trees, which one of them's shaded, one of them's not. That's a little strange. But you have these little trees, and then they don't exist anywhere else. Like they're essentially the same distance from the camera, perceived wise. And then it's just a bunch of birds. And so coming from scenes with such depth, it's a little confusing to my mind.
This one doesn't have the same shading as this. This just feels like unfinished, and also, you know, that little guy there. There's a little gap. This little guy here, there's a little gap. Just little stuff like that, you know? Could have also been cool to do like some different birds here. It kind of feels like these are all the same animation, just kind of offset, which is fine, but I think that would have really helped sell the depth of it all. Also, this is real bright on this background. Color-wise, I don't think this fits in super well.
Mm-hmm.
Little things like texture with this should just be something that's animated. I can just see that it's like a plate that's sliding over top, you know? Boom! Roasted. And now, this one will be quite fun. I know it's already 10, but we just got to do it. And I only have one rec, so don't worry.
All right, cool.
Now, this is sent in as critique. Mseti said, roast the shit out of my outdated ass portfolio. I'm paraphrasing there. He didn't exactly type that, but that's what he meant to type. So let's do that, shall we? Portfolio reviews, which by the way are completely open to doing that, by the way. If you go to the link in the description to send your work into critique, you can send a whole portfolio if you want. We'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mseti. First of all, who the heck's this guy? Like, my name's Mseti, but I can't see Mseti anywhere. Where is he?
I can't see Mseti.
Now,
is
let me guess.
Mseti a PB&J?
He's on the About page, which I think has all too much type on it. As much as I know about Mseti and would like to learn more about Mseti, other people might not if they don't already know him and just like at a first glance. It's probably a lot easier to just digest one or two of these paragraphs rather than an essay.
Can I just point out the phrasing? Things I'm excited about at the moment. Is that like it's kind of implying that you're not going to be excited about that stuff in the future?
It feels very like wishy-washy. Like I don't know.
For now, I'm excited about making cool animation. That's not like, oh, I want to hire this person because right now they're excited about it, but they might not be excited in the future. So
right.
Right.
So anyway, there's that. I'll just say off the bat, this isn't his best animation. Like by far.
No.
He has way better stuff that could be sitting here. This is like old stuff. That should not be the first thing people are seeing, my friend.
A lot of the
Like,
shading is
boom,
kind of
1, 2,
basic.
3, 4. Why are you not showing these things here instead? Come on. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on. Otherwise, I mean, functionally as a portfolio, I think you should have your email in here just so that way, even if they don't scroll all the way through here, they could still just like contact you and like know where that lives.
I
Now you
personally
have this
prefer
thing,
an
but
email than an email button.
yeah,
Because the email button always takes you to like the default
it does like
emailer,
the
and it's
open
annoying.
mail thing, and I never use
It's
it.
like, stop that, man. I just want
And
the
you can do
email.
copy email address, but I don't know. This works because you're like also a dev person, but you got a lot of people who are just dumb and just won't know things like that. So, you know, there's that. Now, totally making assumptions here. But I feel like I'm saying you've made a lot of much better stuff recently than like basically from here down. So I think we should just make these cards a lot bigger and just show them. And just remove all the other stuff or put it under some like fun section or something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know you've done bigger projects, like things that a company could actually purchase compared to like a loop, basically, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
That's it though. For me,
He's got a blog.
he has a blog that's not super updated. So if you're not going to update it, I'd say remove it probably. Or act like these dates are much more recent, like fake update them or something. Just so that it doesn't seem like you kind of left this to the wayside, you know? Because that's 3 years ago at this point. That's a while. All right. Boom roasted. There you go. There you go, Msetti.
There you go.
Now, whoops, sorry everyone. Doxed everybody on the stream just there.
Ooh,
Whoopsies.
that's super awkward.
Anyway, here's my rec of the day. It's another reel. I'm going through my reels. This one isn't even necessarily that it has like the best work I've ever seen in a reel, but god damn it, if the intro to this reel isn't just one of the most satisfying but simple things I've ever seen in a reel before. 2019 reel, by the way. Here we go. Come on.
I love it.
The little like highlighter smear behind it is just so, with the sound. I don't really like this Jelly Belly thing. This one's cool. And then honestly, it could have probably ended there, but I do like how these look, so I get it. But I've also just watched too many reels and heard this track too many times. But like, let's just look at this one more time. Just really just take this in because it's so satisfying. This is like perfect. There's nothing that I would do to this. It matches the sound so well, and it's such a simple thing, you know? But just immediately I'm like, this guy gets motion. Let's do it, you know? Love it. Love it. Having a great time. Thank you, Joshua Galindo, for that one. 4 years ago. Wild.
Wild indeed.
I remember finding that one in class in high school and being like, yep, adding this one to my list.
I have the shortest of recs today.
Ah.
Smallest recs.
Let me switch on over to you then. Do I need sound on?
Nope.
Okay.
There's no sound on this.
Dink donk. Dink donk. That is
That's it.
satisfying.
It's just satisfying.
Boom.
This guy. He does some cool stuff. There it is, bigger. Nice. I like it. A little bit of shake at the end. Sells it.
It's just satisfying. That's it.
That's it.
And
That's
you know
all,
what?
y'all.
I got multiple things to plug today, okay?
Ooh.
As per usual, link in the description if you want to get your work critiqued. It's there. Have a fun time. The Discord, conveniently, is also there. And you know why you should join that? It's because we're having our new Review Challenge. And it has blown up way quicker than the other ones. We are doing randomized teams. It's running from today,
Random.
well, from yesterday until the 25th of March, and it's random teams up to 4. So you sign up, and we will place you with a bunch of other motion buddies to make. And the theme is perspective. Everybody's going to make an up to 30-second vertical video. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be good. We already have enough people to fill more than 15 full groups of 4 people, which I think is the most people we've ever had sign up for one of the challenges. But already have that within like the first day of it being uploaded. So
it's going to be a banger.
There you go. That's it. It's going to be a fun time. Also, be sure to use hashtag #DailyMotionShow on your social posts, and we just might wreck them. That's it. We will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.
Peace.